Our world continues to change and push us in ways we have not been challenged before. On this show, we talk about these challenges, how to be aware of them, face them, and overcome them in your life. This is David Waldas, creator of the Aligned Living System.
And I'm Nick Musica, Aligned Living Coach. Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Aligned Living System podcast. This is David Waldas here with Nick Musica. Our topic today is, what does it really mean to align our will with God's will, or to align our will with the organizing energy of the universe? And, I often think about this in the terms of free will. We go, okay, we're free will creatures, we're on a free will planet, and we love to be able to exercise our free will. And we go, okay, well, this whole array of options for me. I can do whatever I want. I can create whatever I want. And absolutely. And if we bring that back to really the beginning of free will, which is, am I going to be who I truly am? Which is kind of a little tease into, like, what does it really mean to align your will with God's will, to align your will with the organizing energy of the universe, is to be who we truly are. And so that is the original choice of free will, is, am I going to be who I truly am as much as I can be? Or am I going to go out in the world and try to be something that feels better than being me to my ego? And that split. And once we make that split, then all of a sudden free will can be exercised in, unlimited number of ways. But when we bring it back to, am I aligning as me? Am I really feeling the organizing energy of the universe, and I'm feeling who I truly am and recognizing that as one thing? And when I follow that, it shows me who I truly am, and I express as that. And that actually is really the only choice. And once we made that choice, everything else is just next right action. Everything else is just an expression of who we are as us. And we'll tie that into animals. So perfect that we have our resident animal communicator here. So good morning, Nick. How are you doing?
Good morning. Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Feeling like an animal, aligned.
I feel like an animal aligned. I have two
Which
cats.
has a caveat to it, which we were just talking about a minute ago, right?
Yeah.
Which we'll share with y'all.
Yeah. I just been pondering the life of a domestic cat and comparing that to the cat that I saw actually last night that was outside. And I went up to it and was just like,
Feral. Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not quite, certainly scared. Or feral. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it was not entertaining anything.
No.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, what we were talking about before. Let's catch the audience up here, because this is what we were talking about before we got on the call. Is, we look at animals and go, animals operate in instinct. They operate as they truly are, unless they're domesticated, right? And humans, I'm sure, were very much the same way until we actually created domestication. And so what is the difference between a wild animal that lives by their nature, that lives by their next right action, that is in touch with the energetics and the flow of things in nature, and operates in that way where they need it for survival? They need it. And then we introduce humans, right? And so we introduce us into their habitat, which creates another problem and throws them out of alignment. But on top of that, what happens when we domesticate them? And now we keep them as our toys, our pets, in our homes. And what does that do to their true nature, to their following the organizing energy of the universe? Because we just overlaid another microcosm, another ecosystem over the top of truth.
The new truth.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
We've altered.
Yeah.
The organizing energy universe, and we've built structures over it, which is man's favorite thing to do, is build structures over nature. And we do it internally, and we do it externally. And we do it to our animals, and we do it to ourselves, and we do it to our kids, and we do it to our friends, and we do it to our everywhere. And so what does that look like to still have all of these? You look like you're gonna throw up. What does it look like to have all of these benefits of our society and our culture and our ability to, not be at the mercy of nature without losing our true nature?
I think you just there was some memory, some feeling of watching something that just showed up. I think it's Hunger Games, and I think it was like this perceived everything is great.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just come into the fold and everything is great.
Yeah, yeah. Just cooperate, play along.
Yeah.
And here's a reminder of what happens if you don't.
Yes. Yeah. And on the opposite side of that is just brutal.
Hmm. Yeah.
And inside doesn't mean it's not brutal. It just means subservient and just means
Play along.
subscribing to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's fine as long as you play along, which is most of the ecosystems we have in our human constructed life.
That is true. Yeah. I'm trying to think of where that is not more at play than
Makes you want to be an entrepreneur, right? And create your own organization, your own community, your own business where you get to run it in what feels like alignment to you.
yes,
And
100%.
it's funny. I often joke about when people when they start down the aligned living journey. It's like guarantee you'll be unemployable within within 3 months, and that's good news because that means you're going to be so clear about who you are, what you want to create. That you can't live in somebody else's ecosystem that doesn't work for you. That's not your truth, not your line. You can't be somebody else's house pet.
Yeah. One of the things that never sat well for me was this feeling of the world being incongruent. They say
Hmm.
one thing
Hmm.
and do the other.
Yeah,
And once I started seeing that in one place, I just started seeing it everywhere.
yeah.
And what you said is true. And it was sort of like the taking the chain off the fence
Hmm.
for me.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
remember I
Hmm.
remember describing this to you a while back of just like I saw this little vision of the doors open and the shackle was off.
Hmm.
I feel like throwing up as I say that.
Yeah, tear
Um,
down the wall. Right.
yeah, yeah. And there was this feeling of like, but I didn't even need a key. I just sort of, the shackle.
You need a choice. You need clarity, right?
Yeah, yeah. Which makes all the difference in the world, right? And then
Hmm.
the willingness too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. That's that whole piece of like I can't do it that way anymore.
That's
I
right.
didn't realize what I was doing. Now that I realize what I'm doing, that's just not how I play. It's
Totally.
just not
Yeah,
how I play.
yeah. And just not acceptable. Or you get to look at the biggest asshole every day in the mirror.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's what do we do when it's how humanity operates? But when we go, I'm not going to be part of that. It forces us to go, well, what am I creating? What are the rules for me? What is the rules for my house? What is the rules for how I show up and what I engage with, what I don't engage with? And that cleans up things again too, right? There's this whole array of like, how do I navigate this situation versus the same way I navigate any situation through my own
Yeah,
truth, my own clarity, and my own next right action. And
yeah,
when we live that way, God, it cleans things up. It cleans things up immensely.
yeah. And a lot of people, companies will talk about what we're talking about in terms of values and
Hmm.
principles, different words for a lot of the same things we're talking about. But it's regardless of what's happening around us, this is how we move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think we can always look at the degree to which we do it, right? We go, oh,
Yeah,
and it's funny, there's always this honeymoon period where you're like, where you go, oh my God, this is the values of this company. This is amazing. And I
yeah,
think I see them. And then we spend a little bit of time, you're like, oh, the facade shit. Right. And,
yeah,
and and that is human nature too, right? Like how deep are we committed to this? And that's the difference between at what point when it starts to get difficult or uncomfortable, do I stop being committed to my truth? Do I stop being committed to my true nature and who I truly am, to the organizing energy of the universe? And I'm going to build a structure over the top of that that's a little more palatable, that's a little bit easier, that doesn't require so much of me, that it lets other people off the hook. But what happens when we don't? What happens when we just go, yeah, that's just not interesting to me? And then life becomes so much more interesting. We become so much more lit up. Like it's funny. One of the things that I often hear, and we were just out at an event couple couple nights ago, and somebody had commented about like, you guys' energy. Var and I were out, and they're like, you guys' energy just always like it just feels so good every time I see you.
mm.
Um, and I was like, well, that's my profession. I have to do that. I can't. You know? but I was like, but well, here's the truth of it, right? Like, why? Because that just unwillingness to do it another way, and whenever it does, like, it just feels so messy, and it feels so extreme to me. Even stuff that feels small, of like out of alignment, feels really extreme inside me because it's like like something that I wouldn't even notice straying from my truth before now feels like a huge step outside of who I am and how I operate. And it's weird how our reference point for that changes, and all this stuff that's just no, it's just operate. I didn't even think of that as not really aligned with myself or not, and then it's just like, God, I can't do that. Like that feels like I'm just fighting against the organizing energy. I'm just fighting against who I truly am. And why would I want that to be my life?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just spending time with the phrase again this morning. Will it make the boat row faster?
Yeah,
And, and you're just reiterating all of that back to me.
yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
It's really it brings such a simplicity to life, as long as we don't get complicated, get let it get complicated inside of ourselves of the way other people want to engage with that. You know,
Say more
if we
about
just let
that.
it be our greatest truth, and that's how we operate, because the world is a place of overlays, right? And when people go, come into my overlay, this is how we do things here.
Oh.
And if it doesn't match our authenticity as we know it to the organizing energy, to who we truly are, and we go, oh, okay, well, I'm in this container, I'm going to play by these rules. And I'm in this container, I'm going to play by these rules. And in this container, and
Mm.
it's fine. Of course, I'm not talking about not being played. I'm not talking about honoring, you know, stuff that's about like what makes somebody feel comfortable. But what I am saying is not compromising who we truly are in order to make other people comfortable or to fit into somebody else's container. In fact, if you ever seen Blacklist, remember that show, The Blacklist? Who
Hmm.
knows? It could even still be on. It's what is that actor's name? He's great. That plays the main character in it. But he's a criminal, and he's created his own criminal empire, and he's like, I think he was number 1 on the most wanted list for
The
the
FBI.
FBI, and he turns himself in the first episode and says, I'm tired of running from you guys. How about if I just become an informant for you and turn over, like, I'm number 1, but I'll turn over 100 others, and you guys cooperate with me and play along and turn a blind eye as I need you to, because I still need to run my empire. But I'll just keep handing you all these other criminals, and I'll keep it in check. I'll keep it somewhat reasonable in how I'm doing it, but it's good overall. This is a good good agreement, and the FBI agrees to it. So in the play out of the show, he just operates how he wants to and just goes,
Hmm.
this is how I run my ecosystem. There's this one scene where the guy Harold, who's the head of the FBI, comes to him and he's like, "What are you doing? You can't do." And he just is freaking out on him, screaming at him, like losing, getting super emotional. And what's his name? Robert. I forget the actor's name. So good. But he's just sitting there. The guy that plays the main character, just sitting there, like drinking his coffee, like there isn't somebody who's the head of the FBI freaking out in front of him. And he looks at him. He goes, "Harold, have you ever been to Paris in the spring? The smell of the flowers, the fresh air, the beautiful women. I just love Paris in the spring." And the FBI just like having zero effect on this guy's inner world and this guy's experience of being. And it's such a great scene because it's like, what is that? Like, of course he's a criminal, right? But what does that internal stability look like when you're
Hmm.
just like, this is my world? And
Hmm.
I'm not saying that he's aligning his energy with the organizing energy of the universe of who he truly is. Of course, maybe that's why he's on the planet. Who knows? But there's something about that inner stability where you go, this is my truth, and I'm just not interested. And even when somebody's screaming in my face, straying from that, I'm in charge of my world, not them. And that scene, I often think about that when I want to get pulled into somebody else's gravitational field, as you've said,
Hmm.
right? That example of, or get aligned with whatever's going on for them versus what is my truth. And that's what really matters. And that's, to me, the aligned living tools, like, what they've given me is the ability to know what that is. And once you know what that is, then you can honor it. If you don't know what that is because you're entangled in everything and you're living in, and of course we're all going to have these structures of truth that we built on top of the greatest truth. But the more we can break it down, the more closer to the truth we can get, the more we can just stand in it and just go, yeah, like, I don't need to entertain these other perspectives anymore. And again, it's not an arrogance. It's not like we're always checking it against our greatest truth. But when it's so clearly not that, which is so obvious in most cases, right? Like, this is not my truth. And so I don't need to get entangled with it. Of course, there's some where we're always adjusting and fine tuning our truth, and we need to maintain that openness that we don't know. and we need to run it through that level of awareness. But quite often, 99.9% of what we come across gets kicked out very quickly because we go, yeah, that's just not that doesn't work for me.
I love that show. It's such a
Isn't that
good
such a
show.
good show? Such a
Such
good
a
show. Uh, and I
bringing.
think that's why I love it, is because he's just so clear on his truth, and nobody can sway him from it, no matter what the consequences are.
I mean, it's a lovely example of getting one of the most powerful organizations in the world to subscribe to something that everyone would bet against.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a complete reflection of how they operate, right? Like, we have an informant, and so we'll
It's
overlook stuff
true.
that is, absolutely not okay for a greater purpose.
Yeah.
It's how our military does it. It's how, like, most of our ecosystems, corporations, like, all overlooking horrific things for the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And instead of fighting every battle, they have a goal. And
Yeah.
it's fascinating. Whoever wrote that is like, it's so good.
Very good. Yeah. And so what you're pointing out is awareness and self-observation and integrity, which is once you have those things, then you can bubble up integrity at any point in time. You can always
Yeah,
check
yeah,
against it.
yeah, absolutely. And of course, as humans, we're very susceptible to our ego sneaking
Sure.
in and going, this is what I want. And so, like, really
Uh,
having to have people that we bounce it off of, having trusted advisors to go, is this my ego, going like, this is what I want, and I'm gonna bend my vision of my greatest truth in order to match that, because that is
uh-huh.
human nature as well, which is why
Uh-huh.
we need coaches. It's why we need trusted
Uh-huh.
confidants. It's why, like, it's one of the things I really value in our conversations is we can look at each other and go, yeah, I can see how you can get to that. And right.
Yeah. But this wasn't the conversation we're having last time. Help me bring those dots together.
Yeah, is this still congruent? Shit. All right. But fantastic, right? And so
Yeah.
left to our own internal world, unchecked, it doesn't work what we're talking about.
Uh-uh.
And alignment doesn't work unchecked, because we have to have reference points to go, is my ego sneaking in here? Our ego is one of the sneakiest motherfuckers we're ever going to come across, right? And our traumas and our wounds are sneaky as shit. And when they get involved, like, what feels like our truth and our alignment and aligning with God, aligning with the organizing energy of the universe, is not that.
Uh-uh.
And so we need people around us that we can trust to look at us and go, I can see why it feels that way. And let's talk about that.
I feel like we could keep on going for a long time on this. There's a bunch of different ways to talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think today, like, it's just cool to just drop it in and go,
Yeah.
let's put this on the plate and go, how do we operate?
Yeah.
And what are our checks and balances with that? Because, I think that piece, when somebody goes, I'm so glad I figure out who I truly am and I figure out what God wants from me. Now I'm in charge, like, cool. And checks and balances. And you need somebody next to you going, what are you talking about?
All helpful. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, great conversation. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
short and sweet today, but I think it just opening that up and ask yourself those questions, like, can you feel it? And do you have somebody to make sure that
Mm.
or some buddies to make sure that you're really authentic in it?
Yeah.
Because you can go off the rails very easily in any of those ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Great conversation. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, as always, and we'll see you next week. We hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast. And if you did, please subscribe so you can catch the next episode. If you want to learn more about the Aligned Living System and how it could support you in your life, check out davidwaldas.com.